Welcome everybody to the HolloTalk podcast. This is Jetpack Nick, and I'm here with a very special guest today, my big cousin. He's also like a big brother to me, Jason O'Neill. Say what's up to the people.
What is up, people? What is going on?
How you doing today, man?
Bro, I'm really happy to be here. I'm really happy to be doing this, but I'm also happy that I physically saw y'all for the first time in a good few years. It had to be
Yeah,
at least since 2017, 2016.
yeah, yeah, man.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
sad circumstances, but
No,
it's
yeah. I mean, but like regardless of that, it's always good to see y'all. You travel a lot, so it was hard to catch up to you. But I'm glad we was able to catch up, and I'm glad that we're doing this too.
facts, big facts.
Yeah. So for the people who don't know, can you let them know who you are, what you're about, and what you do?
Yes, I can. Okay. So as my cuz slash bro mentioned, my name is Jason O'Neill. I am a performer, but I also have a deep background on stage and off stage. But the same thing with on camera and behind the camera. So I have worked in a lot of different capacities, doing productions either as a performer or as a active crew member. High school, I went to a performing arts high school. I studied a little bit of musical theater. I left school to start auditioning. I traveled for a really long time with a performance group called the Young Americans. So this is a group, we would travel all over the world teaching music workshops to kids in schools. But then at the end of every workshop, we would do a performance for anywhere from 300 to 2,000 people. That was a cool experience. That took us across Europe and the UK and Japan. But I got to a point where I realized I wanted to make it my goal to be 50-50 until I could really all the way be, making my livelihood as an actor. And I decided that I wanted to, no matter the circumstance, whether it's on stage, off stage, on screen, or behind the camera, have that be my only streaming source of revenue. And it took a while, and it was a lot of journeys. But in those journeys, I toured with musicals.
Right.
I toured with stunt shows as a carpenter, and somehow in the mix of all that led me to what I'm doing today. I work in film as a rigging grip.
Okay, so I don't really know what that means per se, so I'm pretty sure the listeners don't either. So could you explain what a rigging grip does on sets?
Absolutely. So okay, there's always pockets that certain crews are responsible for, right? So when you think about all the lights that you see, or how is this looking that way? It's usually the electricians, they put together the lights, right? Now the grips, they are responsible for carving or shaping the light that you see. So imagine you got this giant light and it's really harsh and blinding on the actress's face, right? Now, you always want things brighter than they usually are because the camera itself is going to eat a lot of the light. But if you have what's called overexposure, what grips are doing, we are diffusing the light so that it spreads more evenly, maybe even softens the light. We'll put gels up, those kinds of things. You've done a lot of stage in your lifetime.
Right,
So you
right.
remember seeing all the gels and things on the lights, on the rails above you. So the grips are manipulating the light to the key grip and to the gaffer and to the director of photography's liking. We're manipulating and bending the light. But along with that, we're also responsible for rigging elements, right? So there's the grips that are running around, putting up the shades and holding. You ever seen the people with the bounce cards and they're bouncing light in somebody's face, right? It's they're what you would call a first and second unit grip. But there's also what's called rigging grips, which is what I primarily do. And rigging grips are responsible for literally rigging the majority of things that go into the air. These lights have to hang, and these lights have to hang from 60 feet up. It's our responsibility to get inside of baskets. We're wearing harnesses. We're putting tons of truss in the sky, pipes in the sky. we're safety in all these things because what goes up should not come down until we make it come
Right.
down. But it's not just exclusive though to lights, right? So like, you watch the behind the scenes of movies and
Yeah,
stuff like that, right?
absolutely.
So you'll see there will be like, a whole bunch of dudes that are like in battle uniforms and like there's props around that like it looks like they're fighting at a beach. But then it's just this giant green screen everywhere, this giant blue screen
I ain't gonna
everywhere.
lie, that always trips me out. I'm like,
It's crazy,
you what
right?
you wasn't on the beach this whole time, dude? Like
Not at all. But so the rigging grips, when you see those massive blue screens and those massive green screens, that's a part of our job as well. Well, actually, when you're rigging on like a major motion picture,
hmm
especially if it's like an action motion picture, that's like the majority of your job is finding unique and creative ways with your best boy and your key grip to put all these giant screens all over the place so we continue to fool you into believing that we're fighting on the beach.
Right. Yeah,
it
movie magic, right?
is movie magic. That was a very underrated phrase for me for a long time. And then like seeing this stuff, like I get tricked at work all the time.
No, okay, so like for me, right? Like how you had mentioned, like I've done theater and I've done film. So
Yes,
so
congratulations to
thank
you
you.
too.
Thank
Yeah.
you. So with the film, right? I've
Mhm.
talked about this like numerous occasions on other episodes of the pod, but talking to you specifically, right? Like I don't know what all those things look like on the camera because I haven't seen what the film looks like yet. So
Yeah.
I think for me to like get a better grasp of like how those things look on camera and how it looks at with the final product, I'll have to see the movie that I was in when it comes out. But like when I was on set, I didn't really notice any of those things, or maybe it was there, I just didn't know what it was at the time. But like they had like we had got mic'd up and everything. Like they had like the lights, and they had like the shade over the light and everything.
Yeah.
It had different cameras set up in different places, so I'm pretty sure like all the things that you do, you would have done on that set too. I just didn't know that's what it was. Yeah, so yeah, so like I said, I definitely would have to see the movie to like fully understand what was going on as far as the
All right,
camera
what you
work
were
and
a part
everything.
of, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I would say to your point too, like I mean that for you to say that you didn't notice those things for us as like grips or like rigging guys, that's the goal. Like you like
Really.
yeah, man, because like okay, so like an audio guy, sure, you should know these people because like they're gonna get personal with you. They're literally putting their hand
Right.
up your
Right.
shirt to mic you. You know, so like that's gonna be like a more personable relationship. But with the element of danger that exists in our job, like I'm not going to say you should be worried if you see me, but it's like if you see me, it's most likely because something is wrong or something needs to change
Got you.
right now. But if it's done right, like I'm eating peanuts somewhere, you have no idea what I just did. Like that's like the real way, you know.
Okay, so let me ask you this. So does it change depending on like what you're working on? Like let's say for instance, like if it's like a play and you're doing theater, like does it change the way that you do your job like in that setting as opposed to doing like on a feature film?
1000%. So I mean, even the types of jobs that I do are different when I'm doing stage stuff comparatively to like film stuff. When I'm doing stage stuff, I'm usually a carpenter, right? Like I'll be a production carpenter or like a head carpenter, which are it's an interchangeable title. It's relatively the same thing. But that person, like let's say I'm on tour, like that. So I used to tour with Stomp, the musical. I did the
Hmm.
North America tour for about 7 months, and then this whole thing called the Corota Virus. I don't know if you heard. Did you hear about this
Yeah,
thing? Like
yeah, yeah, I heard
it was
about it.
wow.
I
It
heard
was
I heard a little bit about it.
like niggas got sick. Like it was like crazy. So, but up until that point, I toured with them as a production carpenter, right? So like my job was to make sure the set was placed and intact, right? That was my job before the show started. But also, you're kind of like the point or like the foreman responsible for general safety as well, because the set can fall.
Right.
So you're kind of keeping an eye out on everyone and making sure anything that like an actor is going to touch, stand on, even be near, like in proximity of, has to be fully safe and like fully tied down, fully secured before they touch it or are a part of it, right? Now, Stomp, if you're familiar with it, right, like the vibe of the show, they're making music on just like general junk, and I mean like literally junk, like 50-gallon barrels and like boxes and all kinds of like crates, and they're making music with brooms as drumsticks and all that kind of stuff, right? So like we had literal junk walls all over the place. So I just tell people I professionally hung trash like in in theaters. Like that was like my responsibility. But that's like it's like different in the capacity of like I'm building for structural support for actors to run and kick and all this, but also for it to be like the first thing that the audience is going to see, like as they're coming in and that kind of stuff. Then like I'm flying things off of rails and those kinds of things that like drop in, drop out. Hearing myself say this though, it's very bizarre that I just realized like they only feel different. They're actually extremely similar jobs, because like rigging, sometimes our job is to rig the set so that the set can fly in and out, or we literally on well, I mean, I guess this is an opportune time to say what the picture was. So when I was working on Wakanda Forever.
Ooh, this just got spicy.
When I working on that film, one element was like we had to take a giant set piece and raise it in the air and then drop it into a 25-foot tall, I don't know how many gallons of water, but pool, right? So it's like the same capacity of like building the set that I would as a carpenter, pretty similar to like taking this set piece and rigging it to fly in and out as a rigging grip, like in film. So it's like hearing myself like talking through, I'm like, oh wow, they are different, but they are kind of the same thing.
Right. Real quick, I didn't even notice that you had the hoodie on until just now. Yeah, I didn't even notice that until you said something.
I wore my swag today for you, Cuzzo. Like,
I like it. I like. See, you only get this content on the HolloTalk podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Only here.
No, I had to, I had to shout out my crew, but also if I can beef up the show for you for the culture, bro, then I'm gonna do it, man.
Hey, listen, you know that's all we do. We push the culture forward, and Wakanda forever.
There it is, bro.
So okay, go ahead.
I was gonna say it honestly, like just mentioning in the culture, it was like I did pull back tears often, remembering the legacy of like what I was doing. And like we did the picture, a lot of it was at the Tyler Perry Studios, and I had never seen it before this. And like this is like my first big motion picture to work on, so it's like there were a lot of moments where I was like, you know what I mean? Like I'm like pinching myself, like I still can't believe like I'm like here. This is crazy.
Oh man. Damn, Tyler Perry Studios and Wakanda Forever.
Yeah.
You couldn't get more in the culture if you tried. Okay, so this is interesting. So I'm not sure what you can say or what you can't say about working on the film. So I'll let you kind of just go through and talk a little bit about the film if you can. Is that cool?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay.
So I can legally say that I worked as a rigging grip on Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, a part of the MCU. And you can do that, any working title. They'll always make sure you know the rules for like non-disclosure and that kind of stuff. And like you're so like they'll give you code names for a picture or like that kind of stuff. Like I don't know if I'm allowed to say what the code name
Right,
was
right.
for
Yeah,
this.
no, you don't.
The film is coming, but like, you know what I mean? Like they'll do that because I mean, it's 2022, bro. Like, look how easy it is for us to get together, over this platform, have a full conversation. You can record this and like get this to thousands of people
Right.
in seconds, not even minutes
Mm-hmm.
anymore, in seconds, right? So they really go through the ringer of trying to like protect everything. So it even makes your question more interesting because it's like I can't tell you how many times like my family are like, so like what happens in the movie? Or it's like this person's gonna do such and such. Is this the villain? I'm like, bro, I don't know. Like I I go to work and they're like, you're gonna take these like box truss and you're gonna make 50 feet of it and bolt it together and then hang a big giant blue screen from it.
Right.
That's the end. That's what they told us about the movie. Like that's what they told us. So
Oh
like
man.
yeah, you're kind of catching things as they like happen, but that's like really it.
Yeah. You know, I
Gotcha.
and I like because like I really don't even like know what to even like ask or like whatever because like I'm pretty sure like I could speak for a lot of people with this like when we seen the trailer come out like the
Yeah.
trailer invokes so much emotions and so many people that seen it so it's like oh shit I can't like I can't even begin to like imagine how I'm gonna feel when I'm sitting in the theater with all these people that feel the same way and like the excitement is palpable and all of these things like shit you actually worked on set like you actually worked on set and was like around I'm pretty sure it was around like the actors and actresses in
Mm.
the film and everybody else that worked on the film as well like how was that experience for you like literally being around that energy.
Um, Amazing, honestly, and it was amazing because specifically like the culture, like it, like if I give you an example, so you've seen the trailer, right?
Yeah,
And you know how, and I can't say what exactly is happening, but you know how there's like the scene where you see a lot of people dressed in all white and like it looks like they're kind of like dancing and like celebrating and things, right?
yeah,
So that's a big. It's going to be a pretty dope moment in the movie when you see what it is. But like being a part of shooting that day, like it was kind of overwhelming. So got you. So like the way I was describing like what the job is and stuff, right? So
right.
my responsibility this day with all these beautiful black people just wearing beautiful white garbs and there's like drums and everywhere. My responsibility that day was to hold and tie off lines to put this like giant 60-foot by 60-foot sunshade up, right? So that they could have the right like look because it was an outdoor look inside this set that looks like a Wakandan village, like almost like a Wakandan kind of like marketplace or whatever,
Right.
right? Like that's like the vibes of where you are. And these people are coming to do this little like celebration thing. Um, so all I'm seeing is like beautiful black people dressed in like these beautiful all white outfits, and these guys marching in with like djembes and all these things, right? And they're doing this like celebration, and it hit me like it like really clicked in my head. I'm like, oh snap! It's February 1st. It was the first day of Black History
It's
Month.
Black History Month.
Yeah, and like now you're watching like just like the most grandiose like black excellence happen right in front of your face. Like it's overwhelming, like and I had in the moment, I know what it is now, but like in the moment, like no concept of what we're shooting. And then like I look down and like talk about being stuck. I'm realizing that like I'm holding the sunshade over Angela Bassett.
Oh my
Like
god.
know what I mean? Like and it's like history, legacy, like her, like who she
A
is,
legend,
like
an icon.
you know what I mean? Like even as a rigging person, I'm like, this is pretty dope. I'm like, that's Angela Bassett right there. But like as like a student of acting, I'm like, she's been through it all. Like she's done it all. Like and she's right there. It's hard to like remember to do your job.
Right.
Like, look,
I mean
but then
I
again,
could imagine. So I could imagine. Angela Bassett is a special individual.
Yeah. So it's like there were a lot of elements that were like just like pleasant surprises all over the place, and like a lot of times of like really just being like, wow, like it just feels good to know I'm doing anything that's like part of this. And I can vouch that again, not saying anything about the film itself, but I can vouch that Letitia Wright is a great person. So like, we know her from the
Mm-hmm.
first Black Panther, the younger sister and
Yeah,
everything.
she plays Shuri, right?
Yeah, absolutely. She's an incredible person. I feel like this is probably the first interaction I had like directly speaking to one of the cast members and stuff. But we're doing an overnight shoot, and there's a car involved, and there's gonna be like a wild stunt, and she's a part of this scene. Um, and I'm walking to craft services, right? Like to like grab some snacks. Like I'm trying to grab some coffee and stay awake. It's like 2:45 in the morning,
Right.
right? And as I'm walking towards Crafty, I hear this voice that's like, "Yo, what's going on, man?" And I like look up, and she goes, "Man, we got it all, man. We got all the snacks over here, man. What you want? You want some coffee? You want some tea? We got some energy drinks, man." And I was like, "Yo, like it's just her, just Miss Right, just standing there,
Mm-hmm.
just being a goofball, and like, but like you can tell, like she's doing it to keep her own energy up and like all this stuff. But it's like it was really human how she was just like talking to like a random stranger and stuff. So we like talk back and forth for like a second, but like every time when you have that kind of like an exchange with one of the actors, like every time they walk past after that, that's kind of like in the front of your mind. I think that's like kind of a great way to be, because like let's say she was the opposite, right? Like let's say like I walked up, she was like, "Why are you in this space? Like,
Right.
what are you doing? Or you don't see I'm standing here like trying to take a blow and get away from everybody or so." Like if she would have been like that, that's what I would see every
Mm-hmm.
time she walks past. And I can say that like this cast, and I feel kind of spoiled that this is my first experience with a major motion picture, but everyone was like that in some way or another. I'm sure there are people who maybe in one exchange or another might feel different, but for me, I could say like, yeah, like it's a lot of celebrating, a lot of love, a lot of kindness, a
Right.
lot of kindness that comes from the actors. I think that those things like kind of trickle down. So now moving forward in film, I kind of think that I'm gonna move and navigate, hoping that you know actors continue to be that way, or if I get my chance, like uh, to be in a major motion picture like that, I hope I'm that way to the crew, remembering how they were to me.
Yeah, because so it's actually kind of crazy that you mentioned that too. Because like I said, I had did my first film a little while ago, and I took it upon myself to ingratiate myself with the cast and crew.
Yeah,
Like during the breaks and everything, like between lines and scenes, like I would take a step away from my spot. And I would just go and talk to everybody and figure out what they do, how they do it, like their resume, their background, and whatever it is that they do, whether it was the sound guy, the camera crew, uh, or whoever that was on set. Um, I thought that for me, having that be my first experience on a film set, that it was important for me to do that and ingratiate myself with the cast and crew because it allowed me an opportunity to not only feel more comfortable doing my job, but also it allowed I think everybody else to kind of feel comfortable doing their job and to build a good camaraderie with not just me but the entire crew.
mm. Yeah. I think that's important. I think that's a natural reflection though of just like who you are. Like I can't ever imagine you like not integrating with. You're such an inquisitive person anyway. You know what I mean? So I
It's a
can't
big
imagine
word.
you like. But you know what I mean? I can't imagine you like not integrating yourself like with others just because you like to know like what's going on and that kind of stuff. But you have such an inviting nature. You know what I mean? Got you. Um, so it all makes sense to me. I hope that's something that you continue to wear, as you move forward.
No, yeah, I tried. I wanted to talk to you more about this whole idea of 50-50, right? So like for
Mhm.
me, right, when I first started off and in theater, right? Like I did drama club in college. You know, the people of the HolloTalk podcast know this story. So I started off as a stagehand. Like I moved like the stage because like we had like to build our own stage. So like I would move the stage. I would like props and all those different things, right? And
Oh
then
yeah.
I
Oh
transitioned
yeah.
into getting on stage and everything. So I'm familiar with this idea of 50-50. Me personally, I like to be on stage a little bit more, like just a little bit more than being a stagehand. But for you, I wanted to know more about what it is that you wanted to do with being a stagehand and also being an actor as well.
Got you.
Performer, I should say.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Well, like, first off, how I ended up even being 50-50 or even starting to learn some behind the camera things or some backstage things was from like really not knowing what I wanted to do, like in general, like I mean, you know me, man, I'm
Yeah.
very, very ADD, a little bit of everything person. Like
Hmm.
I love to like dip and dabble. Um, so but like what got me to kind of like going like it's my goal to spend at least half the year doing one or half the year doing the other, and that's going to be the only way that I make money. Is like I did things kind of backwards, right? So like Young Americans, being a part of that program, that was the program touring and teaching the music workshops and performing with the kids and that stuff. um, that is for a lot of people, and this is not a slight in the least bit, but it can be for people that want to go on to perform on a bigger scale, like a stepping
Right.
stone, right? But it also is a place where you can kind of grow with them, So I got experience directing shows or stage managing those shows because they teach you everything firsthand there. So like I learned how to build our set and then would perform on it that night. Like I would be giving people general times that we had to have all the audio and all the lighting done,
Hmm.
and like micromanaging like the times for all the classes that are going on with all the kids, but still thinking through like my show. So like it was kind of giving birth to that, but I didn't know after Young Americans exactly how or what I wanted to do, and I kind of just like went with the flow with a lot of things. When I left Young Americans, this is like 2009, but so I was like 20, dag 23, right? A homie told me, he was like, hey man, I'm transitioning into doing production for reality shows. As soon as you get off tour, you got a job. And I was like, I bang with that. So when I got off tour, he literally hit me. I mean, like I used to drive the truck for our tour
Hmm.
sometimes, right? um I parked the truck, and my homie Ferris hits me up and goes, hey man, you busy tomorrow? You want to come in and work? I was like, bro, are you like looking at me? Like, how do you like, you know what I mean? Like, but he got me on, and I started working as a PA. I'm sure you're familiar with like PAs.
Hmm.
For anyone that don't know, they're the production assistants. If you know someone that's PAing, give that person love, because like they are the hardest working humans
For
in
real.
the industry, because they literally work under everybody, man. And
Hmm.
like they're getting the opportunity to get paid to learn the game, but like sometimes, boy, people do not know how to treat those people. So, but anyway, so I started off doing that, right? Now, Young Americans, they didn't pay us until like I started doing like directing and those kinds of things, right?
Right.
So now I'm a PA and I'm working with other PAs that just got out of college. And they're like, no, I want to be taking out trash. Like, my dean of admissions gave me a $10,000 budget. I just shot my own picture like 2 months ago and this and that. I'm like, time out, you going to pay me $150 today just to take this trash out and make sure everybody gets their lunch? This is a breeze.
Yeah,
Like, so I was
right.
like, kind of like loving it and moving with it, right? But I still didn't have like direction or knew what I wanted to do. I did that for a while, and I started to realize how much I miss performing. So there was one season that came up where a friend of mine was like, I carol with this group at downtown Disney. We do Christmas caroling, and they need a beatboxer and a baritone. And I had to sing, man. Like I had
which
to like just like,
which one did you do? Did you beatbox
okay.
the
So it's tricky, man. When you do 6-part music, the beatboxer is usually the baritone. So like if it's like if you're singing 6 parts, there's no beatbox and that person's singing baritone. But if it's 5 parts, that person is just kicking a beat, bro.
Oh my god.
So that kind of got me back to like performing. I realized like, man, I gotta get back to that. So I left California. I was doing downtown Disney in
Mm.
Anaheim, and went back to the East Coast, and I just started auditioning for stuff. I did Dreamgirls, then I ended up booking at a theater in Ohio, and did Little Shop of Horrors, which was like I needed that because that was like my favorite show as a kid. That was my favorite musical of all time. I got to be the plant, like I loved it, you know. But like, but then like performing wasn't paying the bills, right?
Right.
Like I'm getting like equity points and those kinds of things to like become an
Mm.
equity actor and like join that union, but I wasn't getting money. Like I needed money. Well, I was like, I learned how to work with my hands, like on Young Americans, and a friend reached out, was like, "Listen, man, I got an opportunity. I know you know some general handy skills, but I can teach you everything else you need to know. Do you want to come and be a carpenter on a tour?" And I was like, what's that money like? He told me the rate, and I said, yes, yes, I do. So I went on tour with what was called the Marvel Universe Live Tour, which has nothing to do with the cinematic universe. Isn't that weird?
Very,
Isn't that weird, right?
very weird.
So that's like 2016. I get pulled on to do that, and I go on tour, and I'm in over my head, but I learned a lot, and I toured with them for like a year and a half. We're building sets, but then on top of that, like we're running out. There's like pyro hits going off on the stage, and like the audience is looking at the pyro hit, so they don't see us running and breaking apart the stage and running it off like off, you know. Just like really cool things like that. I got to learn those dynamics, but I got comfortable with like carpentry. Um, then the tour ended. I didn't want to be on the road for a little while, so I'm in New York, and there was a spot to be a carpenter at the public theater, so I started working there. Um, and then it kind of clicked with me that I was like, every way that I've been able to start streaming revenue has been with my hands or with my
Hmm.
talents, and they're all within the same general field. At the time, I was doing this thing called TaskRabbit, like to like subside, um, which was like I go into people's homes, build their furniture,
Right.
like swap, like the, just to kind of like
Hmm.
keep generating money. But I was like, how I love doing both of these, but how can I make sure I'm always in a good spot without doing anything that isn't crew or performing? And I just kind of went for it, and like I like really made myself narrow in on like any job that I'm looking for. Look how long it goes. When I get to like a month or 2 months out from that job finishing, start looking for another job in that same field, and just boldly throw out my resume, have no shame, make relationships, tell
As you
people
should.
like be honest and forthright. Like, this is what I'm trying to do. This is the goal. I want to stay within this community. I like doing X, Y, and Z. Our family, bro. Like, our families are families that are charismatic, and like
Very
we
much
we
so.
we 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 talk to people and we make relationships, right? And that was something that came to my benefit. Then I got to a point where I was like, all right, what if I put crew on hold and like really go for it, trying to act? And this is just before the pandemic, right? So I booked a show. I was really, really thankful to book that show. It was a show called 125th of Freedom. We traveled, literally, we physically traveled through Harlem,
Hmm.
doing this like fantastical retelling of how Harlem came to be what it is, and how gentrification is changing Harlem. So it was like very culturally rich, um, and it was like life changing. But at the same time, I had my first audition for like a huge show, right? I auditioned for Hamilton. I went to
Oh shit.
I went to a general open call audition, right? So if you've never auditioned in New York like that, it's terrifying,
To a
bro,
million
because
people at this audition.
it's so many people. It's so many people. And I was like in like the first three, I think they took 300 men total. Like, this isn't even including like the women that auditioned. I think
Hmm.
they took 300 men total, and I was like 140 something. It was just so many dudes like in this line.
Shit was an
Man, I'm
assembly line.
Yeah, right. And I'm in the middle, and like in my head, I'm like, bro, they've already seen so many. They're
Mm-hmm.
not gonna care. Um, so I sang Stevie Wonder, but like you can feel it all over. You can feel it
Mm-hmm.
all over. So I was singing that song, but in the middle when it goes into the piano break, I used to sing that, right? But instead, I'm like, well, this is Hamilton. Like, you rap in this show. So I
Right.
started rapping. I started just like spitting bars over that part. My friend Michael told me to do it. He was like, bro, you really want to set yourself aside from everybody else? Like, you should just start find a spot and
Just
just start spitting.
just a
Like,
freestyle.
so it's like me, I'm waves crashing on the ashes. That's on the ghost of where my past sits. Like I just started like snapping, like fucking out. I got a callback for the show. Now, if you know
Right.
anything about Hamilton, it's huge, and they constantly have
Yeah.
auditions. You don't get a callback for that show on your first audition. Like there are people who are in the show now that didn't even get a callback until like the fourth time they auditioned for the show. Um, so I went to the callback and stuff. It didn't work out, but
Mm-hmm.
like my pride and my ego were in overdrive that I got that far just going for it. And I was really staying in that pocket. Well, auditions slowed down in the summer, and I got an opportunity to go. That's how I got on tour with Stomp
Mm-hmm.
as their carpenter. It was like, well, auditions are slowing down. I do need some bread. This tour is like 10 months. If I did this tour for all 10 months, like I could come home with enough paper to like not even work. Who knows how far I could get auditioning if I like don't have to work for a
Right.
couple months? Like, God knows what could happen, right? Um, but then we got the pandemic,
Pandemic.
and
Yeah.
like that slowed everything down. Um, Over the pandemic, I worked a desk job online. I worked for a company called Team Building. It's a really cool company if you've never heard of it. They do these online workshops where it's basically like, say your company, the only way they can get together this season is virtually. Well, our company offers virtual events that like can be anything from like a Christmas party to a cocktail hour where we send like a little package to everybody, and now they can like learn how to make a cocktail all together and cheers each other on the camera. This is pretty cool concept, right? Um, but that same friend that called me to go on the Marvel tour ended up getting pulled on to work on Wakanda Forever for
Kind of
Marvel
forever.
Studios.
Right.
And he called me and was like,
So
bro,
so that's how you were able to get on there. Okay, got you,
to transition into film.
got you.
So that literally is how the story goes. He's like, we're down in Atlanta. If you can get down here, you can find a place to stay. We got work. And from then to now, that picture wrapped about 5-ish months ago. Um, and I've been doing recently what's called day playing. When you day play, you'll pick up based on like somebody's like, oh, we need a grip that can come in for like this many days. One of the best boys is like, oh, I got this guy Jay. He's got a good energy. He'll come help out for a couple days, X, Y, and Z.
Mm-hmm.
I did that for another Marvel project that's going to be coming out next year. They just released it, so I can say it. It's
Okay,
it's called
okay.
Echo. Yeah,
I was just about to ask you, can you talk about
yeah.
it?
It's called Echo. Now I don't know a lot about this character. I know in the Marvel world, Echo I think is an apprentice of the Daredevil. That is all I know, and
I'm
I
not gonna lie,
know.
that's about as much as I know too.
and I know that we shot a scene in a bar, and I saw a fight happen with a pinball machine, and I've never seen like the fake glass before. Very
Oh
cool.
man.
This is very very cool. I was like, well, this is awesome. But I'm currently working on. I can't disclose this one yet because it's. But I'm currently working on a show that is going to be in its second season on Amazon Prime. So like, like it's there's a lot of
I
work out
I
here.
I think I might know what you're talking about,
You think
but
so?
I think so. I'm not gonna say anything because I don't think I can say anything, even though I ain't a part of it. But if it's what I think it is, it's a really good show, ladies and gentlemen.
I will say it is a show About black folk.
Oh, all right, okay, all right. So then we good. Then. All right, all right, all right. So all right, we good then.
It's definitely a show about black
All
folk.
right, we good then. We good.
um, but
uh,
yeah, like so it's I think with the 50-50 thing, it started with being unsure of just what I wanted to do, period. And then being sure that like no matter what I do, whether it's the performing side or the crew side, I always want to be doing this. But I also like there's a part of me I like to always feel like I'm giving something to people. And you know firsthand, bro. Like you've acted, you've been on the stage, like you've been behind the camera. Like, don't you just feel like you're giving a gift to the people consuming that?
yeah, I do. So I tell this story often. Like my last play that I did in college, right? So the whole idea of it was about this interracial couple,
Mm,
and it was surrounded around this picture that both of them had, but they both had two, like the top part of the picture and the bottom part of the picture, and they basically tell a story of just the relationship and the trials and tribulations that they go through, but it's all surrounding like the idea of what this picture is once you bring it together. So at the end of it, they brought the picture together, and it was a family. Like it was a not I wouldn't even say a family. It was a gathering of white people,
mm.
um, which was the guy's family. So he was the guy in a relationship with the black woman, and the black woman had the bottom of the picture, and it was three. It was a mother and I want to say a son or two sons, and they were hanging from the bottom of this bridge.
Oof. Yeah.
So when the picture came together, it was the same, the same
One
occurrence.
photo.
Right, right. It was
Yeah.
one photo, and it
Oof.
was both of their families together. So it was just talking about like all of that stuff. But saying all that to say, I had a talk with the um with the cast and crew, and we were just kind of getting an overview of what the story's about and like how important it is to tell the story the way that we're telling it. And my character, I want to say I was a whisperer, which was basically like the conscience of everyone else in the play. It was me and two other people, I believe, playing that role. But we were like, telling the truth of everything already, kind of
Yeah.
like giving the audience insight on what you're going to see at the end of this, like, and it's going to be some heavy shit. you know, um, so like I think like having that experience specifically in this this particular job, if you will, it was important for me to have that background knowledge of what I was acting out. And once I acted it out, it was very, very important to me to see the reactions that everyone had and the talkbacks at the end of the play and how it made everybody feel. So it was definitely important to me the second and third time we did that show.
Yeah.
To be like, yo, like we're doing something really, really important and we need to take it really, really serious
Yeah,
because
and it's raw.
and
It
it's
sounds
raw too.
so
Yeah,
raw. Yeah.
it was everybody was crying, and everybody just
Uh,
felt uncomfortable, if you will. But it opened up a lot of conversations for not only us as the cast to have, but the audience. And that was a really, really dope experience for me.
Word up.
That I'm glad I could talk about on the HolloTalk podcast.
Yeah, man. Bro, I'm really glad you have this platform to talk on, by the way. Like I've always since we were young, I have always looked at you as a person that can like just really herd and navigate through conversation. Like you can herd others and navigate others through conversation. So I think you are definitely finding your medium, Cuzzo. I'm very, very proud of you,
I
man.
appreciate that, man. I mean, I always knew I wanted to do something as far as being able to have conversations with people because I just know how important certain conversations are, especially with
Mhm.
people that you trust, you feel comfortable with, or even just having a space to feel comfortable. And I'm pretty sure you're tired of hearing me say this, but it's not too many places where you can feel comfortable just talking about anything. Like we didn't talk about anything like crazy on here or whatever, but you felt comfortable enough to come on here and just talk about your experience or the things that
Yeah.
you went through as far as, like what your job is and how much you enjoy it and the things that you want to do, the goals you got set for yourself. Like even just having a platform to do that, like that's important to do. Like you don't got to talk about anything traumatic or like the things you would talk about with a therapist per se. But
It
but
doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't always have to be. Yeah, I
yeah,
feel you.
you
Yeah,
just just able to reflect on the things you've done and the things that you want to do, and that's just as important as anything else you would talk about. And I'm just
yeah,
happy that I'm able to provide a platform for people to do that, along with myself being able to do that.
yeah. Well, this is. I want you to keep going. When should I expect a T-shirt to show up at my door, bruh?
So
Like.
everybody's asking me this. So the merch is still on the way. The merch is still on the way. We got some sample pieces out
Okay, okay,
that
okay.
people have seen on the
Oh
pod
yeah,
that
oh yeah.
I've worn.
Is it the graphic? Is it the actual like
Yeah,
HolloTalk graphic?
so
I
I have
need
a few
this.
different ones. I have a few different
Okay.
ones, a few different logos. We got the wristband right here.
Oof.
I got a
Okay.
wristband,
Okay.
I got a wristband.
All right. All right. All
So the
right.
Hollow Talk podcast wristband, the Instagram is back here too. This is
That
for the visual viewers.
bro, this you making moves, man. All I'm saying is like I personally need to represent Philly out here
Yeah.
in Atlanta, and there's nothing better than a dope T-shirt, over my long john, over my long john boy, right? With the Scully that got the logo, boy. Like it's like they're gonna know what block I'm from, like.
No, we definitely gonna have all that coming soon, man. It's definitely coming soon, and I just gotta be thankful and grateful to not just my guests and everything, but the fans and the supporters of me and the Hollow
Sure.
Talk podcast because everybody is excited for the new steps and the leaps that we're finna take. Every season we've stepped our game up. Like literally every season,
Oh yeah,
and
I'm immersing myself
yeah,
in your stuff, and
yeah,
I'm noticing growth and evolution. It's
yeah,
impressive, man.
man. We got some big things in store, but like again, like when I take some time to just reflect on it, like it's amazing to have stuck with doing this for the amount of time that I've done. Like I'm at 80 plus episodes.
Yeah,
Generally people don't even make it to 5. Like
yeah, yeah, bro. It's
so
consistency, man.
for the simple fact that I've built up a platform from the ground up where it's respectable enough to where people want to come on and be a part of this process and this journey of growing the Hollow Talk podcast. And I think that more than anything speaks the most volumes for me. That this is a respectable platform. This isn't
Yeah,
something that that people just like, I don't know what the hell this is or whatever. Like I've had a lot of dope people come on here that have a lot of cachet, if you will.
sure.
So shouts out to all of you guys, honestly, because I wouldn't want to hear myself talk the whole time. So you know, I thank y'all for trusting in me and believing in me enough to want to come on and share your stories and just chopping it up with me, man.
Yeah, man. I'm glad you have a platform for it. If you ever want me back, will gladly come back, man. This is cool.
No, absolutely. All right, so before I get you out of here, customary to the Hollow Talk podcast,
Yes.
if you could provide 3 gems to the people, please do.
Okay. All right. So the first one, uh, I believe it is our responsibility to unabashedly love one another as humans unconditionally.
Absolutely.
So if you're ever in a position to do so, help the person, whether you know them or not, on your left and on your right.
Mm-hmm.
I would say the second thing is uh, if you ever have the opportunity to work with a young person, tell them something you wished somebody a little older and a little cooler would have told you at that age.
100%.
Right? And then number 3, yes, okay. Number 3 is do everything to the best of your abilities while not taking yourself too seriously.
Hey, I couldn't put it better myself, ladies and gentlemen. Listen,
Yeah.
man. I want to thank you so much, Cuzzo, for coming on to the HolloTalk podcast and talking to me, man. I appreciate it. I had a great time talking to you and
Um,
catching up and everything.
brother, very much the same. I look forward to just seeing and hearing more of your content. I'm rooting for you. I want you to keep going, Doc.
I appreciate it. So, as always, I want to thank the HolloTalk podcast listeners and supporters for supporting us through and through. Not just me, but my guests as well. We all thank y'all for supporting us and supporting everything that we're doing. We wouldn't be nothing without y'all, honestly. and again, cuz, thank you, man. I love you. I appreciate you, and we definitely gonna have you back on. I really appreciate you and thank you. Uh,
Definitely.
Last thing too, if you want to put out your social medias for the people to follow you, this the time to do it. If not, I understand.
I don't have the biggest presence, to be honest. When this goes to drop, I'll drop socials and all those things as I'm sharing. But bro, I'm so corny, man. I'll be doing nothing on the internets, bro. Hey, for me.
All right. Well, like I said, man, it's been another episode of the HolloTalk podcast. Cuzzo, I want to thank you again. I appreciate you and I love you. And again, to the HolloTalk podcast listeners and supporters, thank you guys as well. And we truly appreciate y'all. Peace.
Peace.